With the new Boba Fett show coming out, I figured it would be fun to see who the Boba Fett of the NFL would be, so let's get into this. If you don't already know, Boba Fett is a bounty hunter that time and time again doesn't give a F word about what anyone thinks, win, lose, or whatever. His goal is always to get the job done, and time after time he gets close, but rarely actually gets what he's after. As a hired assassin, his job is to kill people for fellows like Darth Vader and gang. But as evidenced in his massive L at the Sarlacc pit, he's failed. If you look in the NFL for someone who has been around for a while, is pretty good at what he does, but fails time and time again, I think there's only a few possible options. Big Ben, Matt Ryan, and many others could be considered in the ranks. But I think there is really only one Boba in the league. We're talking about an elite talent who cannot win the big games, but will show up time and time again no matter who's around him. That grizzled fellow is a man by the name of Aaron Rodgers. Just like Boba Fett, Aaron has been around for quite a bit of time, and upon that had to create his own legacy out of the shadow of Brett Favre. Just like Boba did when his father Django died, Aaron quickly made a name for himself as not just a great player, but a generational talent that deserves to be talked about in his own right. Just like how Boba Fett is a certified killer in the galaxy, Aaron is the same on the football field. Although he's only been able to win one Super Bowl in like 15 years, every single year he's able to win games no matter who's with him. He's a lot like Boba in the fact that he can almost win games single-handedly, like what he did against Arizona without Devontae, Robert, and a bunch of others. There are not many studs that can compete, let alone win games like that, and that's why Aaron is special. He may not have a blaster or a jetpack, but he sure has a rocket of an arm that has kept with him for nearly 2 decades. Hall of Fame talents like Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and his bud Brett Favre all struggled at his age, but somehow my man is still able to succeed without that much around him. The only other guy in the same ballpark is Tom Brady, who is great in his own right, but with way more help around him. If you go back to their matchup in the last NFC Championship, Brady threw for nearly 70 less yards and 2 more picks and still was able to win. If that doesn't show how difficult it is to win football games in Green Bay for a discount double Fett, I don't know what would. Anyways, not only does Aaron have a similarity to the bounty hunter on the football field, but off it he shares some unique traits. His lack of care for how people think about him, or what he does, is nearly identical. Whether good or bad, he doesn't really give a F word, and that's just how it is for my man. He may not be killing people for money, but he has been in the news like crazy, and it gives him a bit of an infamous tone. If you think about just how similar the two are, it's kinda crazy. Both are old, sort of grumpy dudes that do things their way, don't care what you think, and still succeed time and time again. Spoilers if you haven't watched the Boba Fett series, but honestly it's not much at all. When Boba escaped the Sarlacc pit, he was beat down countless times, but got back up time and time again, and after slaying this dragon thing, got himself back to business. Almost like what Aaron did after all the doubt going into his 2020 season. Many thought he was too old, or just generally rusty, but his MVP performance silenced the critics and established himself as one of the best, if not the best players once again. Looking ahead, Boba has been able to take over Jabba's palace and establish himself as a new crime lord. So maybe a potential repeat MVP or Super Bowl could do that for Aaron. But I guess you never know.
Pizza time.
As opposed to the Spider-Man video, this is going to be a little bit more difficult because there are much less people around him. But it doesn't really matter. The show picks up right after Mandalorian, so I think it would be very easy to have Brett Favre as the Mandalorian. But when you think about it, the age part doesn't really work, so I think he'd be better suited for Jango Fett. Being the precursor for the stud would only make sense for someone who helped Aaron like Brett did, and still has an influence on him, although they aren't on the same team, or even in the same league anymore. Nonetheless, it's a pretty easy first choice, but from here on out it gets a bit tricky. Anyways, the previously mentioned Mandalorian I think would work better as someone like Jordy Nelson. A great player who did his thing with discount double Fett back when, but is not with him now. Anyways, to make this short and sweet, I think his bodyguard lady by his side in Fennec Shand should be a bad A word that helps out the gunslinger quite a bit. If you really think about it, there's only one real choice, and it's Allen Lazard.
Oh brother, this guy stinks!
I mean Devontae Adams. Sorry to all the Lazard fans, but Devontae is Aaron's right-hand man, and has been for a hot second. The two just work really well together, and so it's easy to see why they've been one of the best duos in the league for nearly a decade. Since there's no real villains in the show by the point of me writing this, I don't have any more fellows to talk about. So whenever that happens, you could just do that for funsies. Aaron Rodgers is one of those dudes that you don't want to go up against any time. I guess unless you're Jameis Winston and the Saints in week 1. But you get the point. He's a bad A-word, and has been for a while. Just like Boba Fett does in a galaxy far, far away, Discount Double Fett is a threat whenever he steps on the field, and so I gotta say, watch out.
Blitz coming. Rodgers fires. That is a fantastic catch.
Thanks for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment down below stuff you want next. But anyway, see you all soon, and peace out.